what looks like to me to be a minor accident on Madison Avenue right next to the stadium. So if you're headed in to the game, you might want to try to avoid Madison if you can. Back up to you guys.
Okay, Stacy, thanks a lot. And who knows, we could be here a while. Last year's game was decided in overtime when St. Ed's won on a false appeal field goal, 12-9. We have a good one on hand for you tonight. We're sure about that. About 20 minutes away from kickoff. Both the coaches' interviews are coming up next. First, Chuck Kyle of the St. Ignatius Wildcats, and then Jim McQuaid of St. Ed's. We'll get to those right after this on your home for Wildcat Sports, 1260 AM, WMIH.
St. Ignatius High School update, 1997. St. Ignatius alumni don't forget their school, and the school doesn't forget its alumni. Every year, alumni are invited to participate in a number of activities, and now a new alumni event is being introduced. On Sunday, November 2nd at 11 a.m., the first annual on-campus Mass in memory of deceased alumni will be celebrated. All alumni and their families are invited. A special invitation is being extended to widows and families of alumni who passed away within the last year. There will be a reception following the Mass, and alumni families will be able to come together as one Ignatius family for this special event. The date again, Sunday, November 2nd at 11 a.m. Please call the alumni office, area code 216-651-0222. This message has been paid for by the Friends of St. Ignatius High School.
This St. Ignatius Wildcats football game is being brought to you in part by the Healthcare Partnership of Columbia St. Luke's Medical Center.
Against St. Ed's. Last week against Canton McKinley, really the 24,000 plus that were there and the people that were following along on radio really did get their money's worth. It was a great game.
Well, it certainly was, Al. It was battle two excellent football teams going at it, and with all the hype that the game received, I think it lived up to it. Certainly, it seems like state rankings and national rankings believe that too, because even though we lost, we really didn't move down in the polls that much, statewide and nationally. So that's the kind of respect that the two teams had, and especially in this day and age where a lot of schools just don't want to play each other because they fear losing. Here's two great football teams that said, forget that idea, let's put a great football game in the stadium, and they went to battle. You know, we came up in the short end, and right now, it's okay to say, okay, Canton McKinley's a little bit better than we are right now, but if we do everything we can do, 6 weeks from now, we play them again, and in 6 weeks, I would think we're going to be a better football team. So then we'll find out. We'll get another shot at them and try to make it to the big show.
And the tough schedule continues tonight. St. Ed's, like you guys, has a record of 6-1 coming into tonight's game. And really, as we talked about in the past, you can always throw the records out when St. Ed's and St. Ignatius get together. But this year, two really good teams again.
Well, that's right. St. Ed's, this is always just an intense rivalry, and it's great football. It's always a clean game and well fought, and well, you're going to see some great tackling and blocking and plays that are very memorable, and that's what high school should be. And both sides, you have kids that went to grade school together, have known each other for years and years. So, you know, they're friends, but they come to this week, and it's a matter of pride, and that's important. So it's going to be a fine ball game. You know, St. Ed's has been throwing the ball real well. Always a very good defense, good running game. They're a solid all-around football team. Both teams looking at this game, when you look at the playoff situation, this game weighs very heavily in that scenario. So it's going to be a very important football game for both teams, and it's going to be played right to the last second.
And, Coach, what are some of the keys that you see for St. Ignatius to stop the St. Edwards attack on offense and their defense as well?
Well, they're offensively, they're throwing the ball effectively. Their quarterback, Carney, has over 900 yards passing. And, a team that has a balanced running, passing attack is difficult to defend. Certainly we would like to, at the line of scrimmage, still handle the run, but yet put enough pressure on the quarterback to maybe make him throw a little early or shut his timing off a little bit. And if that's the case, that would be very good. I think that would help us quite a bit in getting control of the football. And then when we're on offense, our passing attack has been very effective, but a team like this, we do have to be balanced. They've done a very good job over the years defending our passing game. They harass the receivers and are quick to the ball. If we can blend our running attack in to keep them honest that way, then okay, then I think we'll have both situations to work with. But we can't be kind of painted into a corner where all we can do is pass. That's not a good scenario for us.
Coach, when you look at tonight's game, the week leading up to practice, compared to sometimes a Brown Steelers or a Michigan Ohio State, is practice a little bit different because, hey, this is St. Ed's this week?
Well, it's a rivalry that emotions are very, very high. I think kids, we're coming off of Camp McKinley. At first, we had to kind of get that focused, rearranged a little bit. But once we got into it, with the Tuesday practices and Wednesday, Thursday, certainly the kids realized the magnitude of the effort they're going to need for this ball game. And last year, Ed's got us in overtime. I mean, a lot of these kids remember that, and you want to come back and gain respect again. It's the word revenge is not a very good situation, especially two Catholic schools. So it's more important to say, hey, let's gain the respect back again that we need to do. So that's what we're going to set out tonight to try to do.
And finally, Coach, how important is this game for you guys, coming off your first loss of the season, and you still have a couple more tough teams on the schedule?
Well, to look at our schedule and say we were going to go undefeated all the way, it would be tremendous. It would be maybe bordering on a miracle. But at this point, the loss, you learn from it. You learn okay, these are things that we need to work on. And Camp McKinley was able to do some things, so we had to address those issues. Now, it's important to get back on the field at a football game and see if we've corrected those mistakes. And hopefully we come out tonight and at the end of the ball game going, we're a much better football team than we were last week. That is really important for the future because, again, next week Cincinnati St. Xavier, great football team. Glen Mills, they've only lost one game. Playoffs after that. We have so many great football teams to play yet that we can't let flaws linger. We got to make the corrections.
Sidelines for a report brought to you by the Friends of St. Ignatius and Stacy Young.
Thanks very much, Al. Considering the schedule that both of these teams have played, they really are relatively healthy. St. Edward is missing one key player, though, as Coach McQuaid told us. Tailback Chris Barilli is out for yet another week with a slightly fractured bone in his foot. They expect him to be practicing this week and playing next week. The problem that causes them, though, is that Cedric Golphin has filled in for Barilli, and he has filled in quite capably at tailback. The problem is that he is normally a defensive player, and a very good one at that. Playing tailback has limited his time, though, on defense, and that does hurt them a bit defensively, so that's something to keep in mind. As for St. Ignatius,
Jeff also set a single-grade record last week when he caught 11 passes against Canton McKinley. So Jeff is really leaving his mark as a St. Ignatius Wildcat wideout, and how good that man is. He's got great hands, and he also has a lot of speed, and he's Dave Ragone's favorite target. Talk about Ragone, 114 completions and 186 attempts for over 1,800 yards, 3 interceptions, 15 TDs, 61% completion percentage. And those two guys have hooked up a lot this year on offense. But congratulations to Jeff on a really key milestone for him.
We're only 7 games into the season. He's already had a record-breaking season, and that just pays tribute and shows you what a great athlete that Jeff Lerner is. And a lot of people, when they look at Jeff Lerner, they figure, well, he must just be a possession-type receiver. He's answered all the questions about his speed this year. He has showed everyone that he has the breakaway speed and he can go the distance. Anytime he catches the ball, even if it's a little 2-yard slant pattern, he can go all the way because he's got that speed to just break away from everybody else and go the distance on any given play.
And as we've told you here in the pregame show, Nick Barilli is filling in for his brother Chris in the starting lineup. That moves Cedric Golphin over to the halfback position. How much does St. Ed's lose there? Well, Chris Barilli having an excellent season. He should be back for next weekend's game as 6.8 yards per carry. Golphin doing a fine job, 5.4. Nick, his junior brother, who's probably going to be leading this team in rushing next year, has 3.8 yards per carry. Now, 3.8 compared to 6.8 doesn't sound like it's a very good average, but anytime you're above 3.5 yards per carry, you're doing a pretty good job on the ground.
Oh, definitely. A lot of people say that Miles Stone shoot for would be 4 yards a carry, so he's just a little bit off that. But still, if you're getting 3.8 yards to 3.5 yards on first down, putting your team in a second down and about a 6 situation, I'm sure any coach would be very happy with that situation.
And we're about set for kickoff for tonight's game. St. Ed's won the toss. They have deferred and given the decision to St. Ignatius, who has chosen to receive. This is St. Edward's home game. Both teams do use Lakewood Stadium for their home field. It's an artificial surface, and there is a crowd of over 10,000 here tonight. 8,000 seated and over 2,000 standing room. Game, false appeal has it teed up at the 40-yard line. Ed's going left to right. Ignatius coming right to left, and here's the kick by Sapil with a small wind to his back, and he sends it 5 yards deep into the end zone, where it's fielded by Joe Gonzalez, and it will come out to the 20-yard line. Jeff Lerner are the wideouts, and on the offensive line, it's Adam Reaney, Ken Kubec, LaCharles Bentley, Jeff Petrulis, and Tony Smith. Second down and 6 for the Wildcats from their own 24. We're going straight back in the pocket. Looks over the middle, throws, and too high at the 40-yard line for John Volleson. Coverage on the play by Marty McNamara, the 5'11", 195-pound senior DB.
But we're going just floated the ball a little bit too much. Uncatchable ball for Volleson.
Just underway, no score at Lakewood Stadium. Third down and about 6 for the Wildcats. We're going to the shotgun. Back to throw. He's going to tuck it under and run, and has some room in the first down across the 30. Spins off a tackler and gets up to the 33-yard line. So Dave Burgon, 8 yards on the quarterback sneak. He was brought down by Aaron Buck.
Enough daylight to get the first down. Tucked it under and got just enough for the first down. Nice job by Ragone.
Ardier and Gonzalez in a staggered eye behind Ragone. 3 wide receivers set. Dave changing the play at the line. Now he'll turn and give the ball to Gonzalez off tackle left, and he bursts through the line across the 35 up to the 38.
It's almost like getting a free down.
Ardier and Gonzalez in an eye behind Ragone. Volleson split about 15 to the left. Lerner about 10 to the right. Yandek in a slot to the left. And Ragone turns and gives to Ardier. Counterplay, and he'll get a couple to the 40, and that's it. St. Ed's defense not full there.
They run a little swing pass out to Ardier, maybe over to the right toward the St. Edward bench. A lot of times in a third down and short situation, they like to do that. Get the ball in the hands of the running back and let him do the rest.
We're going to the shotgun with 4 wide receivers. Edge showing blitz. Here they come. We're going 2-step drop, throws over the middle, and it goes in and out of the hands of Gonzalez and incomplete at his own 45-yard line. Nobody was near Gonzalez, and Joe looked a little surprised at the pass, but he was wide open and could have easily had 20 yards at minimum.
Wasn't that pass play?
Fourth down, and Milligan on the punt. The ball is fumbled at the 30-yard line by St. Ed's, but then they recover it at their own 32. Milligan with a low line drive kick that went off the hands of DeJuan Gross, but then was recovered by his fellow deep man, Justin Spazalka. It's a good thing he was there for the Eagles. And St. Ed's has a 1st and 10 from their own 32-yard line. Clock stop, 1st and 10 for the Eagles. They come out with an I formation. Mark Carney's the quarterback. He has Cedric Golphin and Nick Barilli behind him in an I. 2 wide receivers set. Carney back to throw. Play action, rolling to his right, throwing over the middle, and the pass is incomplete at the 41-yard line. Intended for Paul Sepio. Here's your starting lineup on offense for St. Ed's. Mark Carney is the starting quarterback. Paul Sepio are the wideouts. And your offensive line, Jonathan Schmidt, Dave Chernick, Matt Beren, Todd Nalitz, and Ben Barzak. Second down and 10. Pitch the ball to Golphin. He'll try to sweep the left side. Has some room. Gets up across the 35-40 and tackled near a first down at the 42-yard line. Give them 11 yards on the carry. They'll mark it at the 43. Chris Haneline on the stop for St. Ignatius.
Chris Haneline and Mike Eagens. And on the defensive line, you have Brian Foley, Brian Massinen, Steve Zvara, and Larry Witherspoon.
Carney back to pass on 1st and 10, looking deep for Gross, and he makes the catch in Wildcat territory at the 40-yard line. Brian
out of bounds for a first down and big gain for the St. Edward Eagles.
Gross with his 12th catch of the season. And Eds is in Wildcat territory. No score first quarter. Here's a handoff on the counter play to Nick Barilli, and he stood up at the 40-yard line, but keeps the legs going and will get a couple of yards to the 37. Larry Witherspoon on the stop for St. Ignatius. See where they mark the football. They'll mark it at the 37, so about a 3-yard gain when it looked like there wasn't much there.
They kept the legs chopping. He was able to pick up 3 yards.
Barilli and Golfin in an eye behind Kearney. Gross split about 20 to the left. Sepiel about 5 to the right. Kearney turns and hands the ball off to Golfin. He's got a lot of room across the 35-30. Breaks free at the 20, and he's gone! Touchdown, Cedric Golfin. 37 yards, and St. Ed scores first.
Boy, I'll tell you, there was nobody touched him. He made a nice cut at the line of scrimmage because the guard tackle gap looked like he was going to take it wide. Then all of a sudden saw a seam, split the seam, and went the rest of the way untouched. And he's got some serious wheels. He could cause very big problems tonight for the St. Ignatius Wildcats.
Paul Sepiel on to attempt the extra point for the St. Ed's Eagles. Out of the hold of Kevin Eagen. Snap, and it goes over Egan's head, and now is rolling back at the 30-yard line. Sepiel picks it up. He's back at the 35. He'll wing it into the end zone, and it's intercepted and then dropped by Mark Mystic. So the 2-point conversion will go incomplete. And with 8:04 to go in the first quarter, it's St. Ed 6, St. Ignatius nothing. Let's hear from one of our Wildcat sponsors. Brian Rhodes was in the starting defensive backfield for Ballok. Really too bad for St. Ed's on an extra point. Paul Sepiel, 23 of 24 for extra attempts. It's really automatic for him. They just couldn't get the hold down. Here's Sepiel's kick. It's high and fairly short. Gonzalez will take it at the 6. Here he comes across the 10, cuts across the field to the 15, to the 20, 25-30, breaks the tackle to 35 and gets down to the 39-yard line. Pretty nice return for Joe Gonzalez of 34 yards, and the Wildcats have a 1st and 10.
That's exactly what you want your special teams to do after the defense gives up a touchdown like that. Yard line, see what the Wildcats can do on their second possession.
Down by 6. With under 8 minutes to go in the first quarter. Ardier and Gonzalez in a staggered eye behind Ragone. 3 wide receivers set. Ragone turns, gives to Joe Gonzalez, and he gets across the 40, and that's about it. Buried at the 42-yard line. Tackled there by Rich Maurer. 2nd down and 8 after the 2-yard pickup by Gonzalez.
St. Ignatius territory.
We're going to the shotgun on 2nd down and 8 from the 41. 3 wide receivers set. Actually make it 4. Paul Ardier is your only running back, standing to the left of Dave Ragone, who's back in the pocket to throw. With time, dumps it out to Ardier here in the left flat, makes the catch of the 40, gets up to the 45, and then driven out at the 48-yard line by Doug Gaynor. For special starting time next Saturday afternoon, I should say, 1:05 pregame, 1:30 kickoff. All the action here on 1260 AM. 3 wide receivers set on 3rd down for the Wildcats. Ragone turns and hands off to Gonzalez, who bursts up the middle and gets 5 yards for the 1st down. He got to the 47 of St. Ed's, and that'll be enough. Rich Maurer on the tackle for the Eagles, but the Wildcats, actually, Joe picked up 6, and good hard running on 3rd down.
Give Dave Ragone a little bit of confidence. He's got that first completion under his belt tonight.
He's back in the shotgun with the 4 wide receivers set, changing the play now. Shifts Paul Ardier right next to him as he goes back to throw. Plenty of time. Looking over the middle. Throwing deep. Lerner going up for it. And can't come down with it. Pass is broken up at the 7-yard line. Bill Andrews.
Once you hit Lerner in stride, like I said, he can go the distance on any given play. Chances are he would have been in the end zone if he would have made that catch.
6-0 Eagles. 6:47 to go. First quarter. 2nd and 10 for the Wildcats from the St. Ed 47. We're going back to throw. He'll set up the screen again to Ardier. Makes the catch at the 45 and then gets out of bounds at the 43-yard line. So about a 4-yard pickup. And that'll make it our 3rd down and about 6.
Recovered and was able to bring Ardier down from behind.
Collison splits 20 to the right. Gonzalez and Lerner are split wide to the left. Yandek in a slot to the right. We're going in the shotgun on 3rd down and call it 5 from the Eagle 42. And here's the quarterback draw. Again, there's plenty of room to get across the 40, 35, and down to the 37-yard line. Ball comes loose at the end of the play. Let's see, was he down or wasn't he? St. Ed say they have the ball. No signal yet. We're going would have enough for a 1st down, and now the officials are saying he was down. So a 1st down for St. Ignatius from the 34-yard line after a...
He saw the pastures and took off, headed for the sticks, and got the 1st down.
6-0 St. Ed's. Clock moving. 6:25 to go. First quarter. We're going under center. 3 wide receivers set. Backs in an eye. That's Ardier and Gonzalez. And we're going again, changing the play at the line. He'll turn and give to Gonzalez. Off tackle right, Joe goes. Finds some room inside the 30, down to the 28. Joe Gonzalez with some pretty good running.
5, 2nd and 6 situation. And it's about where you take more, but that's not too bad. That's about where you'd want them to be.
Sean Elias on the last tackle for the Eagles. Ball spotted at the 28-yard line of the Eagles. We're going under center, turns and gives the ball to Gonzalez. He'll try the left side. Breaks the tackle to the 25. First down inside the 20 to the 17. So Joe Gonzalez running pretty good here in the first quarter. Mike Cachet on the tackle for St. Ed's. But an 11-yard gain and a first down for the St. Ignatius Wildcats, down by 6, but they're looking to even that score here.
Last series, there was a drop pass and a miscommunication on another one, and that's why it led them to the punt. Otherwise, they were moving the ball pretty well in their last series also.
Dan Hanna now in at fullback. Paul Ardier shifts to the tail. Backs in an eye for 1st and 10. Give it to Hanna on the counter, and he'll get down to the 15. A couple of yards there for him. Luigi Russo on the stop. 2nd down and about 8 upcoming for the Wildcats, and
6.5 yards, per gain. Yards per gain average. I'll spit it out.
Easy for you to say.
Oh, sure.
3 wide receivers set for Ragone, who's under center on 2nd down and 8. 3-step drop, throws for Vollison. Slant, got it at the 1, and he's in. Touchdown, St. Ignatius. John Vollison on a slant pattern puts the Wildcats even with the Eagles at 6, with the extra point to come.
Nice play. Beautiful play. Vollison ran a precise route. Ragone knew exactly where he was going to be. He threw the ball before Vollison even really made his cut. And John did a nice job of just looking it into his hands and then doing the rest. Had to scamper in about 2 more yards to pick up the touchdown. And with the PAT pending here from Milligan, Wildcats can take the lead 7-6.
Jesse Milligan this year, 26 of 31 on extra points. Here's the snap, and the holder Tom Arth gets it down, and Milligan punches it through and puts the Wildcats up. AM WMIH.
This broadcast of St. Ignatius football is brought to you, and go over to Vollison, and then all that does is open up Lerner that much more. And if they cover those 2 guys, you go to Yandek or maybe even insert a Pat Boyagi. So very potent passing attack for St. Ignatius.
Here's Milligan's kick. Gross will take it at the 2-yard line. Here he comes across the 5, 10, 15, hole at the 20, and then he's tackled nicely on a solo job by Chris Haneline as he got across the 25. And boy, Chris Haneline, whether it's on special teams or defense, always seems to find the seam on defense and make the big hit.
No doubt about that one, or even more yardage than he already did.
Goldman and Barilli in an I formation behind Kearney. Gross is split about 15 to the right. CPO about 20 to the left as Kearney turns and gives the ball to Goldman. Big hole across the 30, 35, and down to the 37. 12 yards for Cedric Goldman. Masterson and Gonzalez on the stop. But Cedric Goldman is giving the Wildcats fits here in the first quarter.
Far in their first 2 series.
The Wildcats are staying in their 4-3. Chris Nash is into the game and right outside linebacker, joining Haneline and Masterson. Backs in an ice, 1st and 10 as Kearney's going to go back to throw. Play action, rolling to his left, being pursued, gets the pass off, and it's incomplete right at the line of scrimmage. Intended for Nick Barilli. Chris Nash on coverage for St. Ignatius, and there's a case where the Wildcats read that well. Kearney was trying to set up the screen, but Nash was right with the intended receiver.
Actually fortunate he didn't catch the ball. He would have been dropped to the line of scrimmage anyway.
Kevin Egan into the game at wideout, split 5 to the right. Gross and Scipio are split. El Scipio's about 20 to the left, and Gross is in a slot to the left. 1 back offense, and just as Kearney takes the snap, flags come in, and we're going to have an illegal motion or a delay of game against St. Ed's. And it will be illegal procedure. So that'll mark him back 5 to the 33-yard line. And it'll be 2nd down and 15 for the Eagles from there. Don't forget to join us next Saturday afternoon, St. Ignatius and St. Xavier. 1:05 is the pregame show, 1:30 kickoff. All the action here on 1260 AM WMIH. Kearney will turn and give to the only running back, Nick Barilli. He'll sweep the left side now, cuts up at the 35 and gets to the 36. About a 3-yard gain before Masterson got in there and got him down.
You have the offense, the opposing offense, and third down and long. Chances are they're going to come up with a pass. You can run a blitz, run a stunt. I wouldn't be surprised to see Haneline in that backfield.
Third down and call it 12 from the Eagles' 36-yard line. Kearney just going to turn and just give to Gross on a counter play. He's hitting the backfield. He'll go down after no gain. Steve Zvara got him, and I'll tell you, if Zvara doesn't get him back there, he's going to go for a while and could have got through for the first down. Wildcats were looking past, and St. Ed's crossed him up a bit on the run, and it'll be 4th down and about 11. Paul Sepiol on the punt, 34.3-yard average, good snap, and he gets a high end-over-end punt that's going to be taken at the 30-yard line by Lerner. Cuts back and now forward again to the 35, takes a couple of tacklers with him to the 40-yard line. And Jeff Lerner showing you that he's got some toughness as well, as he carried with him Cedric Golphin and Dave Chernick. But it'll be a first down for the Wildcats after the 10-yard return.
The game coach Chuck Kyle was talking about the key to this game being the defense of St. Ignatius. He felt that if they were able to hold St. Ed's, knowing that they have such a balanced attack, that this would be their key, that if they did that, they would be able to win this game. That's exactly what they did on that last set of downs, and that's what they wanted to do. Back up to you.
And on first down, Paul Ardier takes the handoff from Dave Ragone and gets up to the 42 for a 2-yard gain.
Yes, you do have to establish the run game. They've done that decently, but I think they'd have better success if they were to go to that shotgun and just let Ragone let it rip.
And Ragone's under center here with 3 wide receivers, and Ardier and Gonzalez behind him in the eyes. Back to throw. Slant pattern from Fowlson, and it's broken up at the Eagle 45-yard line by Sean Elias. Broken up nicely by Elias, and that'll make it 3rd down now.
A little bit of separation there. He comes down with that pass. He can run for a long time because there was nobody. There was a free safety there, but Vollison has the elusiveness to get around him and possibly go the distance.
Ragone going to go to the air on 3rd down. Play action. Looking on his left side. Throwing for Lerner, and he makes the catch at the 43. Flags come in. We're going to have pass interference on Richard White, who was draped all over him, but incredible concentration by Jeff Lerner, who makes the catch anyway for the first down.
He was basically giving him a piggyback ride. That's how much that guy was all over him. And Lerner, with showing his great concentration, was able to haul that ball down for the first down. And still, when you have an interference call on the defense and you're still able to come up with the reception, that just shows you the concentration and the great hands that Jeff Lerner has.
14 yards on the catch for Lerner, and let's see if the Wildcats take the penalty, because the penalty would be for 15 yards, and now Chuck Kyle is saying to decline it. And Ardier and Ragone are looking at Chuck Kyle, and they're saying, well, it's about the same anyway, which is true. And let's see. Because if they do take the penalty, they are going to take it and take the extra yards. So they'll mark it at the Eagles 43. On the inside of the 43, the ball was on the outside. So they do accept the penalty, and that catch by Lerner then is nullified. And it'll be 1st and 10 for St. Ignatius, up by a point with 1:47 to go in the first quarter from the Eagle 43. Again, 3 wide receivers set for Dave Ragone. Ardier and Gonzalez and a staggered eye behind him. Dave, 3-step drop, pumps, now drops back to 7, looking deep. Fires now short underneath, and it's caught by Yandek at the 35, and he's hit and dropped at the 34. So about an 8-yard pickup for Tony Yandek, the tight end. Dave was looking for John Vollison or Jeff Lerner, both running deep post patterns, but instead he went underneath to his secondary target, Yandek.
Nice grab by Yandek, and I was praying that Ragone would not, after he pumped to Lerner, I didn't want him to go deep because he had 2 or 3 guys with him. He did the right thing and went to Yandek, his secondary receiver, for a nice gain on first down.
On 2nd and short, give the ball to Gonzalez. He'll try the right side and may have enough for a first down, but that's it. Rick Wadecki on the tackle for the Eagles.
Looks like they're going to measure. Nope, they called get enough for the first down. Nice job by Gonzo. There wasn't much there.
4 seconds and counting to go in the first quarter. Again, backs in a staggered eye. Ardier staggered to the left as the fullback. Joe Gonzalez is your tailback. Ragone straight back in the pocket, fakes the hand up to Gonzalez, looks deep, throws over the middle. Vollison incomplete at the 2-yard line. Vollison running a post pattern, double covered by Doug Gaynor and DeJuan Gross.
He's 4 of 9 for 35 yards and a touchdown. Yardage-wise, it's un-Ragone-like, but you never know. He can pick it up.
Backs come out and eye again. 2nd down and 10 from the Eagle 32, and they jump as Ragone snaps the ball, and I think we're going to get him for offside. They were coming on a blitz. DeJuan Gross, the 5'10", 178-pound defensive back, was in a blitz position, and he was coming a bit early, but so were 3 other Eagles. So we'll see if they were drawn off, and no, they were not. Encroachment is called against the Eagles, and that will give the Wildcats 5 free yards. Spot the ball at the 26-yard line, 2nd down and 5. He'll split 10 to the right, Vollison about 15 to the left, Yandek in a slot to the left. Ardier and Gonzalez in a staggered eye behind Dave Ragone. Dave turns and gives to Gonzalez on a draw play. He's hit in the backfield, and he'll lose a yard. Nothing there for Joe Gonzalez.
Hit just as he received the handoff, so that's a situation a lot of times where you do get the fumble.
And that'll be the final play of the first quarter. When we come back, it'll be 3rd down and 6 for St. Ignatius. Our score after 1 at Lakewood Stadium in front of 10,000 fans. It's St. Ignatius 7, St. Ed 6. The St. Ed 27-yard line. We'll go to the shotgun. He's got Lerner and Gonzalez split wide to the right, Vollison and Yandek to the left. Ardier is your only setback. And Dave takes the snap. Back in the pocket, looking downfield. Firing over the middle, and incomplete at the 20-yard line for Jeff Lerner. Covered on the play by Aaron Buck. Looked like Jeff could have hauled that one in, but maybe was screened for a moment. Looked a little surprised at the ball. And 6 now upcoming from the St. Ed's 27. And while they do that, let's hear from one of our Wildcat sponsors here for Jesse. 7 of 11.
Attempt a 45-yard field goal.
And this would equal his long, and now flags come in.
Flags on the play.
Well, it can't be delay of game. The Wildcats
defense, someone lined up offsides for the defense, I think.
Well, this will make things interesting because now it's going to be 4th down and perhaps less than a yard. Offsides is called against St. Ed's.
They're going for it.
And here comes the offense back onto the field. So that could be a key play in this ball game. St. Ed's missing the extra point and then committing a penalty there on 4th down.
I wouldn't want to be the guy that lined up offsides because, believe me, Coach McQuaid is not going to be pleased, especially if this leads to a touchdown. Because when you, at any level, when you're forcing a team to kick a 44-yard field goal, who knows what's going to happen. But now a team like St. Ignatius with the line they have and the size they have, 4th down and probably just about a yard, they should get this with no problem.
From the Eagle 22, backs are in an eye, 3 wide receivers set. Ragone turns, gives to Gonzalez, 1st down and more. 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown! Joe Gonzalez got through the line, then got to the near sideline and took it up and in.
I'll tell you what, a great job of downfield blocking by Jeff Lerner. The line did a great job of setting it up at first. Gonzo.
So instead of a 44-yard field goal attempt for Jesse Milligan, he'll try a 20-yard extra point out of the hold of Tom Arth. Mike Parrish, the long snapper. Good snap. Arth gets it down, and Milligan punches it right through. So with the 11:49 to go in the first half, it's St. Ignatius 14, St. Ed 6. And as I was saying before that play, Lenny, St. Ed's missing right now. DeJuan Gross and Nick Borelli are standing back at the 2-yard line awaiting the kick from Jesse Milligan. Here it is. It's very high, but also very short. Borelli's going to come up and take it at the 16, across the 20, and then buried at the 24-yard line. Knifing in there for the stop for St. Ignatius was Steve Zvara.
Tackle is made by Steve Zvara.
Where they had an unfortunate penalty. Ignatius took advantage of it. Now they need the defense to come out, keep this offense down for St. Edward, and then hopefully your offense can come back on the field, put more points on the board for you.
Backs in and eyes. Sapil and Gross are wide to the right here. They end up to Golfman. He'll go off tackle right and get on across the 25 and near the 29-yard line for about a 5-yard gain. The flags are down back at the line of scrimmage. And we have a holding call against St. Ed, so that play will come back.
Well, ever since the missed PAT, St. Edward has done nothing but hurt themselves. We've talked about it already, just with the offsides penalty now on their first offensive series since the last Ignatius touchdown. First play, another penalty backs them up 5 yards, or 10 yards, excuse me, on the hold. You can't be too happy if you're a St. Edward fan with the way that they've been performing ever since they scored on that 36-yard touchdown run by Cedric Golfin. 1st and 20 now for the Eagles from their own 14-yard line.
1st down and 20 from the 19.
Mark Carney now in a shotgun formation with 3 wide receivers. Nick Borelli's the only running back next to him. Gets the snap, goes back to throw. With time, looks on the right and throws incomplete. Intended for Paul Sapil at the 18-yard line. There's really no chance for Sapil. And we have a personal foul whistled against the Wildcats, so a break now for St. Ed's.
Well, that's something positive for St. Edward to draw from. St. Ignatius went out and makes a mental error. Looked to me like it's going to be a roughing the passer call. I didn't see who it was who came from the backside and leveled the quarterback, Kearney, as he threw the ball. But the official was right there, made the call, and that's going to be a 15-yard or a 10-yard pickup.
And Dan Corrigan, defensive coordinator, along with Tony Antonelli for the Wildcats, they're out talking to the officials, not too happy about it, but that's an automatic first down. 1st and 10 for the Eagles from their own 30-yard line. Baxter and I, receivers are split. Your tight end is tight left. Kearney with play action, looking deep over the middle, lets it go, and incomplete, intended for Paul Sepio at the 35-yard line of St. Ignatius.
He threw the ball a little bit too deep, and really the only one that had a chance at it was Brian Rhodes, and it was about 5 yards away from him.
2nd down and 10. Again, Baxter in an I formation. 2 receivers now to the right for Kearney, who turns and gives the ball to Golfin, and he gets a nice block at the 30 and gets up across the 35 and down near the 40-yard line. Masterson runs him out, but a nice pickup for Cedric Golfin. And the way he's running the ball, Lenny, I would just keep giving it to him. He's getting big chunks on every carry.
He's getting big chunks, and he's got some wheels, too. He got to that outside, and Brian Rhodes got sucked in. He was out here on the corner. He got sucked in, lost contain. Golfin bounced it to the outside, and nice play out here by Masterson to bring him down. Otherwise, he again could have gone the distance.
Golfin goes out in favor of wide receiver Kevin Eagen, who split wide to the left. Gross and Sepio to the right. Barilli's your only setback as Kearney will give it to him on 3rd down and short, and he dives ahead across the 40-yard line for the first down. Nice job by Nick Barilli. Looked like he was in trouble at the 38, and just as he started to lose his balance, he had the presence of mind to leap forward, pick up 4 yards, and a first down for the Eagles.
That probably could have picked up another 4 yards if he would have kept his footing. But you're used to getting that contact. It wasn't there. He had the more forward momentum, and he brought himself down.
1st and 10 for the Eagles from their own 42. Pitches a Golf, and he's in trouble back at the 35 and goes down at the 38. 6 Wildcats in pursuit were ready for that play, and that's a big loss there for the Eagles. Chris Nash, I think, got the initial hit for St. Ignatius, and then Masterson, Haneline, and Witherspoon were all there.
Done a great job. 4-yard loss, excuse me. Their defense has done a great job. Traditionally, St. Ed's this year has come out and dominated the first half. So far, it's been all Ignatius.
Carney back to throw on 2nd and 14. Now turns and gives to Barilli on a draw, and he's hit at the line of scrimmage and falls forward to the 40 for a couple. Dave Zvara on the stop for St. Ignatius. 3rd down and long upcoming for Eds. They're down by 8.
At the side of the ball, and that's why they have him on defense. If you like to go out and hit and drop people for losses and do stuff like that, you're going to play for a long time.
Kearney to the shotgun. Back in the pocket to throw. Plenty of time. Fires deep over the middle for Gross. Too far and incomplete at the 21-yard line of St. Ignatius. Wildcats had Spear, Nash, Mystic, and Rhodes all back on deep coverage, and that'll bring up 4th.
Winging it out there, and if the receiver comes down with it, then so be it. Not really throwing the ball with any touch whatsoever. Basically just dropping back and saying, well, I'm just going to throw it and pray for the best.
Paul Sepio on the punt on 4th down. Mystic and Lerner standing back at their own 30. Here's the punt. Fairly good one taken by Mystic at the 26. Juggles it, now gets control, but that juggle will cost him as St. Ed's comes down on coverage and nails him at the 26-yard line. Dave Chernick will get credit for the tackle for St. Ed's. Here's one of our Wildcat sponsors on WMIH.
This broadcast of St. Ignatius football and St. John West Shore Hospitals, Ministries of the Sisters of Charity of St. Augustine.
Along with Stacy Yance on the sidelines and Lenny Soeder next to me, I'm Al Pulowski. Thanks for joining us tonight for Eagle Wildcat football on WMIH. Here's a delayed handoff to Gonzalez on 1st and 10, and Joe's in trouble in the backfield and will go down for a loss. Back at the 26-yard line.
Got to give him credit there. St. Ignatius goes to the shotgun formation. They've gone to Yandek once so far tonight, but don't be surprised if they don't drag him across the middle. They like to run that play sometime in this situation.
Loss of 1, 2nd and 11 from the Wildcat 26. We're going to the shotgun. Back to throw. Fires deep for Yandek. Incomplete at the 36 of the Eagles. And Tony wanted face guarding, and so does the Wildcat crowd, but he won't get it. Very, very close defensively. Marty McNamara will get credit for the breakup on the pass, and it's a good play because no flag was thrown. From their own 26-yard line, we're going back to the shotgun with 3 wide receivers. Actually make it 4. Paul Ardeer is your only running back. Dave will take the snap and look downfield, and just as he does, that flags come in, and we're going to have an illegal motion call against the Wildcats. So marking back 5 more. And now the Eagle defense has St. Ignatius in a favorable position. 3rd down and 16 upcoming from the Wildcat 21.
Get in with a 4th down and then just be content to punt the ball.
Massinen, Gonzalez, and Yandek all wide to the right. Lerner's your only receiver, split about 5 to the left. Ardeer, the lone running back, next to Dave Ragone, who takes the snap in the shotgun. Looking downfield, in trouble, scrambles out of the pocket to the left. Now lets it fly deep downfield. Lerner got behind the defense and makes the catch at the Eagle 30, to the 25-20, to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. He's in! Touchdown, St. Ignatius! Jeff Lerner got behind the defense of Bob Colran, and St. Ed's had nobody back.
Or he could go ahead and throw a 79-yard touchdown pass to Jeff Lerner. I think he definitely demonstrated his speed on that play. He got way behind the defensive back. Then Ragone did a great job. Just get him the ball and let him go, and that's exactly what Lerner did. Showed his speed and showed his athletic ability by running up the sideline at first, realizing some guys had the angle on him, cut it back to the middle, and then just went the rest of the way based solely on his speed and a little dive into the end zone. St. Ignatius touchdown.
That after a 3rd down and 16. Good snap on the extra point. Arth gets it down. Milligan pops it through. 21-6 now. St. Ignatius with 8:07 to go in the first half. And Jeff Lerner from Dave Ragone. How many times have we said that this year? Well, for touchdowns, 8 times.
He knew all he had to do was get the ball out there. They at least had the first down, if not more. Ends up going 79 yards for a touchdown.
Open and Barilli are deep for heads on the kickoff, standing at their own 4-yard line. Here's Milligan's kick. Very high, but once again, very short. Barilli will take it at the 17. Gets across the 20. Has a hold of the 25 to the 30. Cuts to the near sideline, 35-40. 45-50, and then run out of bounds at the Eagle 44-yard line. By Mike Mystic for the St. Ignatius Wildcats. And also over there on the tackle was Chris Nash. Golfin and Barilli are in an eye behind Kearney. It's a staggered eye. Receivers are split. Mark will turn and give the ball to Golfin. He gets inside the 45 and then stood up and dropped the line of scrimmage. Little dancing by Golfin, and he found his way to the line of scrimmage but could get no more. That's 21-6, St. Ignatius. Baxter in an eye. 2 receivers are split wide to the left. That's Eagens and Gross. Kearney back to throw, in trouble at the 50. Dodges the tackler, but can't get away from Zvara at the 48-yard line. He broke the Haneline blitz attempt at the 50-yard line. Chris is mad he didn't get him, but Steve Zvara was there to back him up. They'll mark it up at the 46-yard line.
Hit him in the face. He had to run, got flushed from the pocket, had to run up, and then got dropped by Zvara.
And that blitz causes Kearney to go to the shotgun with only 2 receivers and 2 running backs to protect him. Back he goes to throw, and he hits Golfin, who makes the catch at the 40-yard line, but then he's dropped immediately by Mark Masterson. So about a 6-yard gain for the Eagles, but it will bring up 4th down and 7.
Kick it. Hopefully you can pin St. Ignatius deep, let your defense stop them if they can, and you might come away with some better field position.
Ball is marked just inside the Wildcat 40-yard line. Seafield standing back at the Wildcat 48, gets the punt. Or gets the snap, I should say, and gets a high punt, trying to pin him deep, and it bounces at the 5, and it'll go into the end zone. So it's a 40-yard punt, but only a 20-yard net. And that's what's true, but, by the same token, you never know what's going to happen on a punting situation. That ball could have, by the same token, not only if they don't get that first down, it demoralizes your offense also. So the Wildcats will have a 1st and 10 from their own 20, up 21-6. We're going to the shotgun, quarterback draw, and just as he starts, flags come in. Play is blowing dead, and then he's throwing to the ground after the play was whistled dead by Sonny Ovan, but there will be no flag after the initial flag. And Ragone's going to the official and asking him about that. But they'll just say that Hovan was continuing on with the action.
So now the punt doesn't look so bad.
Not after the...
Now they're back to the 15, so...
Illegal motion penalty, 5 yards. Next Saturday afternoon, all the action is here on 1260 AM WMIH. 4 wide receivers set now on 1st and 15 as Ragone goes to the shotgun. Paul Ardeer is your only running back. Ragone takes the snap, looks to throw in his left, pumps now, looks back to his right, finds Ardeer in the flat, makes the catch to the 15 to the 20, and then tackled up at the 25-yard line. A good 10-yard gain for Paul Ardeer.
Ardeer moves ahead for a nice 10-yard gain for the St. Ignatius Wildcats.
And Ragone will stay with the shotgun. Massinen, Yandek, and Gonzalez are all wide to the right, Lerner to the left, and flags come in before the play even has a chance to get underway.
On Ignatius.
And it is going to be against the Wildcats. Let's see what the call is. Illegal motion against St. Ignatius. So mark him back to the 20.
Well, I'm sure Coach Kyle can't be very happy. He won't mind. You know, occasionally you're going to have it where you get beat physically on a play. But when you start beating yourself mentally and you make some mental mistakes on penalties and whatnot, that is something that can just drive a coach crazy.
So they'll mark it back at the 20, second down and 10 for St. Ignatius. 4 wide receivers set. Ardeer the only setback. Ragone is under center. He'll turn and give the ball to Ardeer. He'll sweep the right side. Gets into the 25. Lowers his shoulder at the 30 and gets the first down to the 31. 11 yards on the carry for Paul Ardeer. Solo tackle by Doug Gaynor, but Paulie made a couple of nice little cuts there and showing that his hamstring looks to be almost back to full strength.
That he's an all-state receiver and he knows how to line up. He was very upset at the referees. Back up to you. Thanks,
Stacy. And then, of course, referring to Jeff Lerner. Ragone in the shotgun. Fakes the throw on his right. Now he's under pressure. Looks over the middle. Throws for Lerner. Makes the catch at the 32. Jitter and Jupe move up to the 35. Gets to the far sidelines and out of bounds near the 40-yard line. And near a Wildcat first down. And there we see why Jeff Lerner is so tough. He'll make a 2-yard catch, and when it looks like there's nothing there, makes a neat little move and gets upfield for a nearly 10-yard gain.
He catches, and then after what he does with the ball afterwards, you just never know what's going to happen. He's so exciting to watch. I don't know where he's going to end up next year, but I hope it's somewhere close so we can watch him.
And they give him 10 yards, send a first down for the Wildcats from their own 40. We're going back to the shotgun and back to throw. Now he'll tuck it under and run. Gets across the 40, 45, and a shoestring tackle made at the 47-yard line. The Eagles.
Ragone lost his shoe.
Luigi Russo, the defensive lineman, and Luigi helped untie that for Dave Ragone. About a 7-yard pickup for Dave on the scramble. Second down and a short 3 upcoming. And
shoestring tackle.
The call was right on that one. St. Ignatius takes on Cincinnati St. Xavier, another top 10 ranked team. Saturday afternoon at 1:30 is the kickoff, 1:05 the pregame, right here on 1260 AM. 4 wide receivers set for the Wildcats on second down and 3. We're going to the shotgun. Back to throw. Dave under pressure, loops it out for Jesse Milligan, who makes a nice catch at the Eagle 40 and gets ahead inside the 35 to the 32-yard line. Jesse Milligan coming out of the left slot. Picks up plenty of yardage for the Wildcats. Aaron Buck on the coverage, but 20 yards for Jesse, who also doubles as their place kicker. And for Milligan receiving, that's his second catch of the season. And that catch, believe it or not, of 20 yards will lower his average. His other catch was for 56 yards 3 weeks ago.
Still, I'd take that average. 2 catches, 76 yards. It's not too bad. 38 yards a catch.
It'll do, huh?
Sure.
First and 10 for the Wildcats now. From the Eagle 33, we're going to the shotgun. He wants to run again. Now he's going to dump it out to Ardeer, and it's incomplete at the 35-yard line. And Ardeer is shoved well as the play is over, and here comes the flag. Mike Cachet hit Paul Ardeer after the play was over, and said about 3 plays ago the same thing happened to Dave Ragone, and that's just some frustration coming out now for the Eagles. That play was supposed to be a quarterback draw, and the Eagles read it well, and Ragone just dumped it out to Ardeer to make sure that it was an incomplete pass, because Ragone was going to lose 5 yards if he didn't throw that.
You got to use your head in that situation, though. I mean, now the 15-yard penalty, they're already down on the 33-yard line. That marches them down to the 18. You got to be thinking in that situation, not 6. And I'm sure Coach McQuaid cannot be happy with that decision by Cachet to go ahead and deliver that blow to Ardeer.
4 wide receivers set. Ragone under center. Ardeer the lone setback. Dave Ragone, 7-step drop. Hits Tony Yandek on a crossing pattern. Makes the catch at the 13, then driven out at the 11. About 7 yards for Tony Yandek on the reception. Cedric Golphin and Aaron Buck on the tackle for St. Ed.
How many yards you're going to pick up on it? Now they're in a second down and short situation deep in St. Edward territory.
All of 3 from the 11-yard line. 4 wide receivers set again. Dave Ragone under center. Paul Ardeer the lone setback. 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Ragone turns and gives to Ardeer. Off tackle left. Inside the 10 he goes and down near a first down. We'll have to see where they mark the football. Rick Kodecki on the tackle for St. Ed's, and he's going to be about a half-yard short.
They're using Paul Ardeer also. he's got 4 carries for 17 yards already. So Eds never knows what you're going to throw at him.
Mollison, Milligan, and Yandek are split wide to the left. Lerner, the only wide out to the right. Here's a handoff to Ardier, the only running back. He gets the first down near the 6. About 2.5 yards for Paul Ardier. Aaron Buck on the stop, and all Paul needed was about a foot. And the Wildcats keep the drive going. That'll stop the clock while they move the chains with 1:41 to go. 21-6. And in the game at fullback, Paul Ardier now moves to tail. 3 wide receivers set as they're in an I behind Dave Vergone. Vergone takes the snap. He'll turn and give to Ardier, who's hitting the backfield, and he goes down. He'll lose about 3 yards as the Eagle defense read that one all the way. Tim Cachet and John DeLois on the tackle.
Cleaned on a play a little while ago. He's got a few cobwebs in his head. They're hoping to have him sit out the rest of the half, obviously, and check him out at halftime, see if he's going to be okay to go in the second half. We'll see about that at halftime. Back up to you.
Okay, Stacy, thanks a lot. And the Wildcats do call a timeout. They have 1 left with 1:09 to go in the first half. And Stacy letting us know that, Joe is sitting there on the bench, and that's why Paulie's getting so many carries. And
a top-notch running back, but Paul Ardier, he can run the ball, and Dan Hanna has also stepped it up a couple times this year and last year when he needed to.
Back in action, 2nd and goal from the 9. Timing pattern to Lerner in the corner, and it's incomplete as we're going through it just a bit too far. Lerner got a hand on it, but could not haul it in.
To the one that Elvis Gerbach and Desmond Howard used to run back at Michigan in their college days. That time, Vergone just got it out there a little bit too far. Lerner not able to haul it in.
And Vergone will go to the shotgun. 4 wide receivers set for the Wildcats on 3rd and goal from the 9. Dave back to throw. Here comes the blitz. He gets it off, and Ardier makes a great catch at the 10 to the 5. He'll walk in. Touchdown, St. Ignatius on an incredible catch by Paul Ardier. The pass was almost picked off, I believe, by Rich Maurer. St. Ed's had 7 men coming, and they got to Vergone, and he just got the ball off. Then once he did, there was no one between Paul Ardier and the end zone.
That's concentration, that's athletic ability, everything rolled into one play right there, and that's just a great catch by Paul Ardier and a good throw by Vergone. He put it really in the only spot that his receiver could catch it. Now, granted, he had to make a great catch, but Ardier, he's shown us time and time again he can do it, and he goes in, 9-yard touchdown for Iggy.
Milligan on to attempt the extra point. He splits the uprights with 58 seconds to go in the first half. It's now St. Ignatius 28, St. Ed 6, and after Ed scored that opening touchdown on a 37-yard run by Cedric Golf.
You're right. If the defender picks off that pass, he goes the distance, but that was just a great play all around. Vergone, Edge came with the blitz. Vergone noticed it right away. He kept retreating and retreating until the last possible second. Didn't really get as much on that ball as he wanted to, but he got just enough to get it to Paul Ardier. Ardier makes the reception, takes it the rest of the way for the touchdown.
And Milligan on to kick the ball for St. Ignatius. Now, Gross and Barilli are standing at their own 5, and Gross will take it as he has to go all the way back to the 2-yard line. Now he breaks the tackle to 15, to 20, across the 30, to the 40, into Wildcat territory, and tackled all the way inside the Wildcat 40-yard line to the 33, I believe. Wow, what a return for DeJuan Gross. He and Nick Barilli were standing at their own 10. He had to go back then inside the 5. Milligan had been kicking the ball short to make that catch, and he returns it all the way to the St. Ignatius 33-yard line.
Make the tackle, and therefore not allowing Gross to go the distance for the touchdown.
Paxton and I, receivers are split as Carney will fake the handoff to Golfin and go back to throw. Looking on his right, fires, caught by Sepiel at the 25-yard line. Mike Carfani on coverage as he gets out of bounds.
You at least get in position where you can go in and get 3 points on the board in this situation. They'd love to get a touchdown, but they got to do something on this offensive series.
Carney will throw. He's rolling to his right. Looking downfield, fires. Ball is caught for a first down at the 16-yard line by DeJuan Gross. Red line. Carney to the shotgun. 3 wide receivers set. Barilli's your only running back. And Carney's back to throw. Loops it over the middle for his tight end, and it's incomplete. Looking for Ed Purcell. 6'4", 225-pound tight end provides a pretty big target. Masterson and Spear on coverage, but Carney looped it a bit too far for Purcell.
Turnover and go into halftime with a 28-6 lead.
Second and 10 for the Eagles from the Wildcats 17-yard line. 32 seconds remain in the half. Carney back to throw. Deep drop of about 15 yards, and now he loops it out. And incomplete for Cedric Golphin. Chris Haneline on the ground at the 30-yard line. And he was mixed up with Nick Borelli and Lenny. I don't think neither player was too happy with one another there.
I don't think that's the argument. I think the argument was that Borelli tackled Haneline in the backfield, and you can see Coach Kyle, Coach Corrigan, everybody over here on the St. Ignatius sideline. They wanted a holding call on that play for sure.
So that'll make it 3rd down and 10 from the 17, and now St. Ed's will spend their first time out with 27 seconds to go. And while they talk it over, I'd like to remind you to join us next Saturday afternoon at 1:30 for the kickoff and 1:05 for the period right here on 1260 a.m.
During that timeout, Coach Kyle was giving an earful to the side judge saying, man, come on, that running back, he tackled my linebackers right in front of the official's face, the referee's face. He's got to make that call in that situation. The guy just waved it off and said, hey, it's not my call, Coach.
3rd down and 10 as Carney goes to the shotgun, looks downfield, throws in the end zone, up for grabs and incomplete.
Nice play.
Paul Sepio, the intended receiver, and Mike Mystic did a fabulous job coming over and breaking it up. Mystic almost picked it off, and good job by Carney, though. He put the ball the only place he could, and Mystic just made a great defensive play.
There's double coverage. Mystic came over, batted the ball out of bounds. Therefore, they come away empty. It's 4th down, and they got a big decision right here.
And if they would attempt a field goal, it would be about a 35-yarder, so it would definitely be in Paul's range, but they are going to go for it on 4th down. Gross and Sepio will split wide to the left. Eagens split about 5 to the right. Carney to the shotgun. Nick Borelli next to him. 4th down and 10 for the Eagles. Carney back in the pocket. Has time. Looks on his left. Throws. End zone. Sepio can't pull it in. It's incomplete as the pass is a bit too high for him, and that'll give the ball back to the Wildcats. Nash on coverage, but boy, if Sepio, he had a shot to haul it in. Pass was maybe slightly behind him running a post pattern, but they got the play that they wanted. Just couldn't connect.
Now they come away totally empty. They got to go in at halftime, down by 22 points to the number 2 team in the state. That's got to be pretty demoralizing.
And Dave Ragone just takes the snap and takes a knee, so that will be the final play of the first half. St. Ignatius up 28-6. Jesse Milligan will kick the ball to St. Ed's. Milligan will be kicking left to right on your digital tuner. St. Ed's moving the ball right to left, and it's DeJuan Gross who'll take the kick at the 5-yard line. Here he comes across the 10 to the 15, across the 20, and down to the 24-yard line. Very nice return for DeJuan Gross, but a nice tackle as well by the St. Ignatius Wildcats and Mike Eagens.
That is more of a Jesse Milligan type kickoff. He got it down about the 5-yard line, and usually in the course of the evening, his kickoffs are at the 5-yard line, or they go for touchbacks. A nice return every time that Ignatius kicked off to them. So St. Ed's has to start at their own 24 with this first series in the second half.
Mark Carney, 4 of 12 in the first half for 47 yards, no touchdowns or interceptions, and on the first play, flags come in as Carney was going to turn and give the ball to Nick Borelli, but there will be an illegal motion penalty against the Eagles. So that'll make it 1st and 15 now from their own 19-yard line.
Well, you got to be very unhappy for Coach McQuaid. As he mentioned to Stacy, he said they got to limit their mistakes. They would march themselves backwards with offensive penalties. And how do they start the second half? An illegal motion call.
3 wide receivers set for the Eagles. The lone setback is Borelli as Carney goes back to throw and sets up the screen to Borelli, but it's over his head and incomplete at the 18-yard line. Steve Zvara was in Mark Carney's face, and he had to rush his throw. Mark Masterson on coverage of Nick Borelli. Incomplete. 2nd down and 15 upcoming for the Eagles.
That's who had to float it out there, and he was actually fortunate that Mark Masterson did not come down with an interception on that play.
Matt Cannon into the game, split 10 to the left, Gross and Sepio to the right. Carney just turns and gives the ball and delay to his running back, and he's hit in the backfield and goes down at the 16-yard line. Nick Borelli on the carry, and he'll lose about 4.
I'm sure Coach McQuaid can't be very happy with the results that he's seen in the second half so far.
3rd down and 19 from the 17-yard line. Eagles need to get to their own 35 as Carney goes back to throw and rolls to his left. Loops it up for Gross at the 40. It's incomplete. Knocked away by Mike Mystic on coverage, and now it's DeJuan Gross's turn to be a bit unhappy. To look from here like Mystic may have bumped him before the ball got there, but no call.
The interference would have come in, but with his left hand hitting the ball and his head looking towards the ball, he was basically just making a play on the ball and not the receiver. That's why there was no penalty.
Fourth down, Sepil on the punt, gets a good snap and no rush, gets a fairly good punt off. It bounces at the Eagle 45 and takes an Eagle roll inside the 50, inside the 40, and down at the 39-yard line by Doug Gaynor. So that'll work out well for the St. Edwards Eagles, a 42-yard punt and no return. First and 10 from their own 40-yard line. And Dave Ragone in the first half, 175 yards and 3 touchdowns and no interceptions.
It's not a bad evening for somebody, let alone a first half.
He's under center now, and he'll turn and give to Joe Gonzalez, and flags come in as Joe gets across the 42-yard line. We could have a hold on the Wildcats.
It's good to see that Gonzalez is back in the ball game. Obviously, he's feeling healthy.
Wadecki and Hovan on the stop, but it will be a hold against the Wildcats, so that'll nullify the 2-yard pickup by Gonzalez, and that will mark St. Ignatius back. So both teams' offense is coming out here to begin the third quarter, and instead of going forward, they're going back. And we'll get a station break for you after this next play. Shotgun formation for Ragone. 4 wide receivers set. He's changing the play at the line, and he'll go back to throw. Has time, throws over the middle for Gonzalez, and he drops the ball at the 45-yard line of St. Ignatius. The ball was a bit behind him. Broken up by Justin Strelska and Sean Elias. Game between the two Catholic schools here on the west side of Cleveland. And we'll go down to Stacy Yance after this next play. Second down and 20 for St. Ignatius from their own 30-yard line. 4 wide receivers set. Ardier's the only running back behind Dave Ragone, who's under center. And once again, Ragone will go to the audible. He goes back to throw, and as he does, flags come in. We're going to have a delay of game against St. Ignatius. Took too long to get the plane, and now let's head down to the sidelines and get a report from Stacy.
Well, actually, it was just a quick note on the play before that when Joe Gonzalez couldn't quite hold on to that ball over the middle. I have a feeling he was having flashbacks to the first half when he got hit pretty hard, and so he was probably thinking about that and thinking about getting hit again. Back to you.
I agree, Stacy. That's the last thing you want to do when you already get your bell rung once, to go over the middle on a slant pattern, knowing that you're going to get leveled if you catch the ball.
That report brought to you by the Friends of St. Ignatius. Second down and 25 from the Wildcat 25-yard line. They need to get to the 50. Ragone's in the shotgun and back to throw. Lets it fly deep on the right side. Vollison stretches out and can't make the catch at the Eagle 32-yard line as it goes incomplete. A gainer on the coverage. Third down and 25 now for St. Ignatius.
You don't want to give up a big play, but then again, you don't want to give them enough yardage for a first down. So it's a bend and not break situation for St. Ed's.
Third down and 25 from the Wildcat 25. We're going to the shotgun. 3 receivers to the right, 1 to the left as he's back in the pocket to throw. Sets up the screen to Ardier in the far flat, makes the catch to the 25, and he'll get up to the 30 for a 5-yard pickup. And that's it. Fourth down and 20 upcoming as the St. Edwards Eagles do not break on that play. Richard White.
They only give up 5 yards. Milligan's going to have to punt. St. Edwards should come away with decent field position.
Good snap. Plenty of time for Milligan to get it off, and it's far, but it's low, and it's bobbled by Gross back at the 30-yard line. Now he has to go and pick it up back at the 25, and he's buried immediately by Mike Parrott. So that'll work out to the Wildcats' favor, and all these offenses and defenses switch teams. Let's hear from one of our sponsors on WMIH.
This broadcast of St. Ignatius Wildcat football is brought to you in part by the law firm of Friedman, Damiano, and 070. That's 621-0070.
First and 10 for the Eagles from their own 25. They're down 28-6. Here's the pitch to Golphin. He's in trouble at the 21, and down he goes. Boy, Cedric Golphin had no chance at all as Chris Haneline knifed in and made the tackle.
And that's where he's going, not where his shoulders are. They're going to juke you with their upper body. He did that, wrapped him around the legs, and dropped him.
Backs run and I. Receivers are split on second down and 13 from the 22. Carney play action pass. Throws. Ball is dropped at the 34-yard line by Frank Piper. And on the coverage was Haneline and Nash. Clock stop, 9:04 to go, third quarter, 28-6 Wildcats. Third down and call it 13 for St. Ed's from their own 22. Again, Baxton and I, receivers split, and a play-action pass upcoming from Mark Carney. Under pressure, he escapes from the pocket, now gets up across the 20 and down the 25, fumbles the football, loose back at the 22-yard line, and let's see who has it. I believe the Eagles do. Yes, they do. So it'll turn out as a no gain on the play, and I think that was Todd Nalitz, who made the recovery.
Recovering at fourth, St. Edward was Ben Barzak.
Actually, they're going to give it to Ben Barzak on the recovery. Heads up play by him. And now the Eagles will have to punt on 4th down.
I'm scanning the sidelines. I see Joe Gonzalez sitting on the bench again, and one of the trainers for St. Ignatius was talking to him. He has his helmet off. I have a feeling that's the last we're going to see of Gonzalez tonight.
Seabill with a good punt, his best of the night. It's high, and it will be taken at the 47 by Jeff Lerner. Starts to the far sideline, now comes back this way and gets across the 50 and into Eagle territory where he's upended and dropped at the 47-yard line. Barney McNamara on the tackle, as well as Justin Strelska, and that'll be where the Wildcats will start 1st and 10 from their own, or from the Eagle 47, and now there's a flag down back at the 41-yard line. Let's see what this is all about.
I didn't see anything happen on the field, so I'm assuming it's going to be an unsportsmanlike deal.
Well, I think they flashed 44 for St. Ignatius, and it is unsportsmanlike conduct against the Wildcats, so that will mark them back, and that's it down to Stacy Yance on the sideline.
Hey, guys, a quick note on Joe Gonzalez. He is done for the game. They wanted to have him come out in the second half, see how he could do. And when he got hit on that first play that he dropped the pass, they decided that, his headache was back and that he should just sit on the sidelines the rest of the game rather than take any kind of, risks with him. So he's done.
Okay, Stacy, thank you very much. And so we'll see Dan Hanna and Paul Ardier for a while now, and Jeff Lerner. Lerner into the game at tailback, Ardier in at fullback. They're in a staggered eye behind Dave Ragone, who's under center. 3 wide receivers set for St. Ignatius, 2 to the right, 1 to the left, and Dave Ragone will turn and give the ball to Jeff Lerner. He'll go off tackle right, hole across the 40, 45, and down to the 47. About a yard short of a first down.
Needs just give him a little hole. And with his speed, quickness, and his elusiveness, he's going to get some big yardage for you.
Lerner now 14 carries on the season for 61 yards, a little over 4 yards per rush, and they'll give it to him again on 2nd down and short. He's got the first down across the 50 and into Eagle territory. Stopped at the 49-yard line. Mark Kasak will get credit for the hit, as well as Aaron Buck.
Good things can only come from that. Eventually, you're going to get into that end zone.
Pat Boyaji into the game, split about 8 to the right. Mollison split about 5 to the left. Yandek in a slot to the left. Ardier and Lerner in a staggered eye. Hand off to Ardier and a counter play. He's got a first down inside the 40-yard line to the 36. Paul Ardier with some good hard running. Picks up 13 yards and another first down for the Wildcats.
Carrying a couple defenders to pick up an extra couple of yards for St. Ignatius.
1st and 10 for the Wildcats from the Eagle 36-yard line. Again, backs in a staggered eye. 3 wide receivers set. Ardier's the fullback. Lerner the tail, and this time like Ken Kubec started way before the snap count for St. Ignatius, and he's going to be whistled for illegal motion. Ken Kubec, the left tackle, and usually we only mention offensive linemen's names when they commit a penalty, but Ken has done a pretty good job tonight blocking, so we'll throw that in there as well. But that time he got into his block a bit too soon.
Just a little bit too anxious. I bet you that play was going his way, too.
Mark him back 5. 1st and 15 now from the St. Edward's 41-yard line. They'll stay with the same formation. Staggered eye backfield. 3 wide receivers set. Handoff Lerner off tackle right. Big hole. 35-30. 25-20 and down there. First down for the Wildcats as Jeff Lerner is making a lot like Matt Bunsey did the last couple of years for St. Ignatius. Catch the passes and run it from the backfield.
I wouldn't be surprised if he could stand back there and punt, too. He's just an all-around great player.
Gain of 20 yards. First down and 10 for the Wildcats from the Eagle 21. Again, Baxter in a staggered eye. Give it to Ardier on the counter, and he'll get to the 18, but he's hit at the line of scrimmage and then just managed to fall forward to that point. Aaron Buck was the Eagle that read that one all the way. Pick up of 3 yards. 2nd down and 7 upcoming for St. Ignatius. 8-6. Join us next Saturday. St. Ignatius and Cincinnati St. Xavier here on 1260 a.m. 1:30 is the kickoff. 1:05 pregame on 1260 a.m. Ragone going to turn and give to Lerner on 2nd down and 7. Makes a move at the 18 and gets up near the 16-yard line. Couple yards on the carry. Lewis and Buck on the tackle for St. Ed.
And just so you think he's going one way, he jumps to the right or jumps to the left, and then you don't really get a good hit on him, and he gets another 2 yards on you.
3rd down and call it 5 from the 15. Ragone going to throw. Play action over the middle. Lets it fly, and it's incomplete at the 10-yard line. Anthony Yandek had it in his hands and dropped it. Sean Elias on the tackle. or on the coverage, I should say. And that'll bring up 4th down and 5 on 1260 AM WMIH.
This broadcast of St. Ignatius.
Mike Paris, the long snapper. And we're all set to go. 28-6 Wildcats, 5:02 to go third quarter. Milligan to attempt the 34-yard field goal. Good snap. Arth gets it down. Milligan gets it up, and he splits the uprights. Jesse Milligan nails the 34-yard field goal and puts the Wildcats up 31-6 with 4:58 to go in the third quarter.
Nice job that time by the offense. They threw a couple passes, but basically they established the run here in the second half. Moved the ball down the field, got it close enough so Milligan could attempt it.
St. Ed's 2 of 3 this year. I'm surprised he's only tried 3 field goals. He won that game in overtime last year in a gust of wind, and he's a heck of a kicker as well. Milligan with a good kick. It's going to be taken by Gross to 5. He fumbles it off his leg, loose at the 13-yard line. Big pile up, and I think the Wildcats have it. Yes, they do.
I'll tell you what, Eagens did a great job on that play. He leveled Gross, and Gross is still down, and he's going to be fortunate he's not moving at all. He got leveled by Eagens, and Eagens basically, he took him right out of the play and allowed Ignatius to come up with that fumble, and you just got to hope that DeJuan Gross is not seriously injured.
But since then, I have not seen him move.
So all the trainers attend to him, and that's, of course, very tough. Hank Gaughan, the head trainer for St. Ignatius now, is heading off the field. I think he's going to go and get some help. They might be getting the ambulance.
The doctors are all heading out now as well. He is moving. You can see now he's bending his legs up.
Lose somebody else, the caliber of a Gross. So they've taken both the teams off the field, and Stacy, what else is going on down there?
Well, they're holding up fingers in front of his place, obviously trying to see if he has his bearings at all. I obviously can't hear what they're saying to him, but it appears that they're trying to see if he, knows where he is and what exactly is going on. But he is moving quite a bit, his arms, his legs. So that is a huge relief to everyone around. I'm quite certain that's just a very scary thing about this game, no question about it.
DeJuan is going to be okay. I'm sure they'll take him to the hospital as a precautionary measure, and we can only hope that he'll be okay.
Denver on their feet, both sides looking to see if DeJuan Gross is okay, and now they're giving him a round of applause as he gets on the stretcher, and they're about set to wheel DeJuan off.
In case you're just joining us and wondering what the heck's going on, DeJuan Gross on a punt, really, he bobbled the punt, went to recover his own fumble, and just as he was going for the ball, Mike Eagens from St. Ignatius came in and delivered a devastating blow, and DeJuan lay motionless on about the 15-yard line. It was a kickoff, I'm sorry, after the field goal. And DeJuan lay motionless down about the 15-yard line, and right now he's taking off his elbow pads or something, so obviously he can move. Basically, this is going to be a precautionary measure, get him to the hospital, make sure that there's no type of little fractures or anything like that. Injured seriously enough where they have to wheel him off, immobilize him on a stretcher, and take him to the hospital.
So he did have both arms up, and he was taking his elbow pads off, and now he's put his hand up to his helmet, and he's still rubbing his arm. So that's very good to see that he's able to do that. And as Stacy told you, he was able to move his legs. So although we cannot speculate exactly on what's wrong with DeJuan Gross, but there is some good news to take from this. It is that he was able to move everything, and it is a serious injury, but it does look a lot less serious than it did originally, and that's the good news. Cold on the field, but not as cold as it could be with some wind. Temperature now in the 40s, and Stacy told you in the pregame show that the temperature was going to be dropping to the 30s.
Taken to Lakewood Hospital basically as a precautionary measure. Apparently he was very aware of his surroundings. He knew what was going on. Can move all his limbs, like I said, and they just want to make sure that he's okay. He was complaining of a bit of neck pain, but they think he's all right. Back to you.
Thank you, Stacy. That's good to hear. On 1st and 10, Dave Bergone goes back to pass and tries to hit John Vollison, but it is broken up nicely in the defensive second.
Earlier to Vollison, I believe it was a 15-yard touchdown strike. Just a little slant pattern and a nice play out there. It was number 10 was the defense.
Richard White.
Richard White, my fault.
Second down and 10 now for the Wildcats from the Eagles 13. We're going three-step drop. Turns, throws, Vollison, same play, and once again, Richard White knocks it away, but a flag comes in late, and Richard White is beside himself.
I think he had his left hand on Vollison's back, and that's what they're going to get him for. He went through the receiver to make a play on the ball. You can't do that, so that's why they throw the flag.
Right, and that, of course, is Vollison running the slant from his left wide-out position, so we can only see the front of the play, so that did happen behind him, and the side judge made the call, and we have no view of what happened behind. From the front, it was a good play by Richard White, ball side hand, but if you get the other end on the receiver, that's interference.
That looked like an all-state defensive back play right there from our view, but the officials are right there, and usually they make the appropriate call, and one's just going to have to believe that that was the appropriate call in that situation.
So defensive pass interference, half the distance to the goal, and it's 1st and 10 for the Wildcats. So actually 1st and goal, I should say, from the 7-yard line. We're going three-step drop. There's the slant again, and then once again, White breaks it up, and once again a flag comes in. They're going to keep running that slant pattern to Vollison as long as they keep one man out there on him, Richard White.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if this time they don't fake the slant and have him faded out to the corner. Although they're down, where are they now? They don't put them down inside the 5. They might just run the ball, but you like to set that up sometimes. You have Vollison fake the slant, have her go and give him a little pump, and then have him break it out towards the corner of the end zone. And the way that White is playing this so far, that would be wide open if you wanted to run that play.
So another first down for the Wildcats, another half the distance. The ball is just inside the 4. So 1st and goal for the Wildcats from the 3.5-yard line. They're up 31-6 with 4:41 to go in the 3rd. Lerner and Ardere in a staggered eye behind Dave Ragone, who's under center. 3 wide receivers set. Handoff Lerner up the middle. He goes for a yard maybe, and that's it.
Tackle by Marty McNamara.
McNamara and Buck on the stop for St. Ed.
Force off the penalties, but keep them honest, run the ball. See if that doesn't work for you. If that fails, then you can always resort to the pass.
And we'll go to the air, looking for Vollison on a down-and-out pattern. Did he catch it? No, incomplete. The official signaled touchdown, but then the ball squirted loose, and he called it incomplete. Richard White again on coverage, and that time, Lenny, what you talked about a couple of plays ago, they faked the slant, and Vollison went with the down-and-out on the single coverage, and the ball was there. John just couldn't haul it in.
From the quarterback, and then he throws it a little bit behind you and at your knees. That's a tough catch to make. Even though it was in his hands, he could have made the catch. It was a difficult one. 3rd and goal from inside the 3. We're going play-action pass, rolling to his left, looking back over the middle, throwing Boyaji, incomplete in the end zone, broken up by Doug Gaynor of St. Ed's. And that'll bring up a 4th down for the Wildcats from inside the 3. That time I think Ragone fired it just a little bit too hard. He put too much mustard on that ball. That's why Boyaji was not able to handle it. If you're St. Edward, this is a moral victory for you because you lost one of your best defenders. Ignatius had the ball on the 13-yard line, got a couple of interference calls, and all you're going to surrender is a field goal.
And we're back to action. Here's the snap. It's put down by Arts. A good snap, and Milligan gets it up. I think it was partially deflected, but it goes through anyway. Good thing it was only a 20-yard attempt. It was no longer than an extra point. The ball is a bit to the right.
I believe it was Cedric Golphin got in the backfield and got a hand on that ball. Come out and do something positively on the offensive side of the ball, and they have not been able to do that since the first series of the first quarter. Now, going into halftime, they had a decent drive, but came away empty. They need to get that run going and mix it in with the pass, and then hopefully they'll get some positive situations for them.
And here's the kick. Alfonso Hodge came up on the ball to the 10, then it sailed over his head. He got 2 hands on it at the 5, but luckily for St. Ed's, it went through his hands and then back into the end zone where it will be ruled a touchback. The wide outs, they split wide to the left. And there's 2 backs, Barilli and Golphin in an eye behind Kearney, and the tight end is tight right. So that's how they'll counter this injured DeJuan Gross. Here's a handoff to Golphin on the first play. He's hitting the backfield and goes down for a 2-yard loss. Brian Foley and Doug Gizzi on the stop for St. Ignatius. They'll mark it closer to the 19. 2nd down and 11. St. Ed's will go with the hurry-up offense, down by 28 with 3:36 to go into the 3rd quarter. Don't count them out yet. They're 6-1, and Jim McQuaid's got a pretty good offensive team, and they're going to make sure that they get at least 4 possessions and a chance to tie it up. Kearney back to throw. Under pressure, steps up in the pocket, looking downfield, still looking. Now he's going to try and run with the ball, and he'll get out to the 17. A 2-yard loss as Larry Witherspoon gets him for the quarterback sack, but Mark Kearney could have lost about 8 yards. He did a good job just to only lose 2.
Brian Foley had the initial penetration. He flushed Kearney out of the pocket. Kearney was able to avoid him, then was trying to buy some time to give his receivers an opportunity to get open. They were not able to do so, and then all of a sudden Larry Witherspoon was there running him down from behind and a 3-yard loss.
3rd down and 13 now from the Eagles' 17-yard line. They need to get to their own 30 for a first. 3 wide receivers set. Matt Cannon is into the game at wideout along with Paul Sepiel to the right, Kevin Eagen to the left. Kearney back to throw. Under pressure again, and again he'll go down. This time inside the 10-yard line, back at the 7. And the Wildcats record their 5th sack of the night. This time getting in there for St. Ignatius, it was just about their entire defensive line.
But Brian Massinen had the initial penetration.
Knocked the Eagles back to their own 8. 4th down, Paul Sepiel on to punt. Jeff Lerner, the only safety, standing back at the Eagle 40-yard line. Good snap. And Sepiel gets off a fairly decent kick. Going to bounce to the 35. Lerner will take it on 2 hops back at the 45. Upfield, he comes across the 40 and down to the 38-yard line. So Lerner, a good job of not letting that ball roll any further. 39-yard line.
St. Ignatius faithful giving a hand to the St. Ignatius own territory. Gives the St. Ignatius offense the ball out near the 39-yard line of St. Edward after the punt.
Hannah and Ardeer in a staggered eye behind Ragone. Lerner now comes in motion to the right as they give the ball to Ardeer, and he breaks 3 tackles, gets inside the 35 and down to the 31. 9 yards for Paul Ardeer. Luigi Russo on the stop for St. Ed's.
Keep running the ball. If you're going to get 8 yards on a first down every time, Coach Kyle's going to be a very happy man.
2nd down and 2. Give it to Ardeer again. He bursts across the 30 for a first down to the 25. 6 yards this time for Paul Ardeer. 6. Lerner in a wing to the left. Vollison split about 15 to the right. Hannah and Ardeer in a staggered eye as Lerner goes in motion to the right. Now almost comes to a standstill as Ragone takes the snap and gives to Ardeer again. Off tackle right, and then he's hit hard to the 23 and driven back. That time the Eagles were waiting for him as the Wildcats have run the same play the last 3 times, just to whatever the wide side of the field is.
The St. Edward team, they look very tired to me. Some of these guys are bent over with their hands on their waists, on their knees. They're sucking wind out there right now.
2nd down and 7 for the Wildcats from the 22, and a handoff to Ardeer goes for a loss back at the original line of scrimmage. He'll lose the 3 he picked up as they'll mark it back at the 20, actually at the 26, so he'll lose 4. It'll be 3rd down and 11, and that'll be the final play of the 3rd quarter. So when we come back, the Wildcats will have a 3rd down and long. We played 3 at Lakewood Stadium. Our score, it's St. Ignatius 34, St. Ed 6. To the right about 15 yards. Yandek is about 1 step from his tight end position in what would almost be a wing to the right. We're going in the shotgun. Back to throw. Has time. Looks on his right. Now steps up in the pocket. Throws for Yandek. Makes the catch at the 13-yard line and tackled immediately. First down for the Wildcats. 13 yards from Dave Ragone to Tony Yandek. On the coverage for the St. Ed's Eagles was
Yandek and was able to get the first down.
Hannah and Ardeer in a staggered eye behind Dave Ragone. Vollison split about 10 to the right. Lerner in a wing to the left. Now Dan Hannah will shift to the right as they pitch the ball to Ardeer. He makes a nice cut at the 10, gets inside the 10 near the 5, and there he's tackled by 4 St. Edward's Eagles, led by Tim Cachet and Aaron Buck.
Over to the right-hand side. He was the lead blocker for Paul Ardeer. Kicked out the defensive end and allowed Ardeer to get ahead for 6 yards.
Spot the ball at the Eagles 7. Ragone turns and pitches to Paul Ardeer. Makes a cut at the 5. Gets inside the 5 to the 3, and he's dragged down from behind by Justin Strzelka. And if Strzelka doesn't make that play, Paulie gets in. A nice solo tackle by Justin. 6 foot 170 pounds is Justin, and he pulled down the bigger Paul from just outside the 3-yard line. Backs are in a staggered eye. Hannah will shift to the left. Paul Ardeer is the tailback. Give it to Paul again. He'll try the left, and he's met in the backfield, still going, but he won't get there. He'll lose a couple back to the 6-yard line.
It's a two tight end situation is what they're going to do.
Right. Mike Barrett's also the long snapper for St. Ignatius and their backup tight end. And the Wildcats will go with a 2 tight end formation and a wishbone set. Hannah's your fullback. Ardeer and Lerner are your 2 tailbacks. Fake the hand up to Ardeer. Wildcats going to throw. We're going end zone. Paris incomplete in the back. Mike Paris had it in his hands and he couldn't pull it in. Doug Gaynor was your coverage man for the Eagles, but really Paris should have held on. But instead of kicking the field goal, now this pins the Eagles back at their own 6-yard line, down by 28 with 9:22.
But he also had Jeff Lerner wide open in the flat. All he could have
10 for the Eagles as they take over on downs from their own 6-yard line. Kearney with 3 wide receivers, and Nick Barilli is only running back, and they give the ball to Barilli. He'll try a student body left and get a couple to the 8-yard line. 2nd down and about 8 upcoming for the Eagles.
I'm sure that Coach Kyle is going to start shuffling in some of his defensive substitutes as this game progresses.
3 receivers now to the left. Nick Barilli, the only running back, as Kearney goes back to throw and rolls to his right. Still rolling, now throws underneath. Nice catch made at the 10 by Golphin, and he'll get up and out of bounds at the 18-yard line. 1st down for the Eagles as Chris Haneline runs them out. But a good play there by St. Ed's. That's where you put 3 receivers to the left, and Kearney just takes a half-step fake like he's going to roll to the left, instead rolls to his right.
When you have a defense that pursues like St. Ignatius, a lot of times they'll be very susceptible to any misdirection that you run.
Kearney now to the shotgun. 1st and 10 from his own 18. Back in the pocket to throw. Throws on the left side. Caught by Seafield. Dodges the tackle at the 25. Breaks another tackle at the 30 and gets out of bounds at the 34-yard line. Mystic ran him out there, but a pretty nice job by Paul Seafield of running after the catch.
The 1st quarter. So right now they're probably just looking to gain something positive out of this football game going into next week against Cincinnati Elder.
Kearney will give the ball to his only running back, and that's Nick Barilli, and he breaks through the line at the 40, 45, 50, breaks 2 more tacklers, and gets all the way down to the Ignatius 40-yard line. Steve Zvara, or actually Ben Mellino, a lineman, ran him down, as well as Mike Mystic.
Not that tall, but he's definitely put together. He ran over a couple people and was able to pick up some extra yardage.
Backs are now in an eye as Kearney will turn and give the ball to Golphin, and he'll get a couple inside the 40 near the 38-yard line before he's rung up by Larry Witherspoon and Mark Masterson. Ben Mellino also there. 2nd down and
68 total on the night, and 36 of those coming on 1 carry.
Kearney to the shotgun, a 3 wide receiver set. Barilli the only running back standing next to him, and here's the fake draw. Play action. Kearney pumps once, looking downfield, still looking. Now he's flushed out of the pocket and slips down at the 40-yard line as he tried to cut upfield. Brian Foley will get credit on the tackle, but Foley was a good 3 yards from him yet. And that time, Kearney just lost his footing.
I'll tell you what, I would have fallen down too, because Chris Haneline was right there waiting to hit him.
3 to go in the ball game. 34-6 Wildcats. 3rd down and 10 for the Eagles. 3 wide receivers set for Kearney, who's back in the pocket. Here comes the blitz, and Kearney steps up, dodges a couple tacklers, dodges another, but only manages to get back to the 45. He loses 5. He could have lost 10. And that'll bring up a 4th down and 15 as the Wildcats seem to come with just waves on the defense. And I believe that Smith finally got him for the sack.
Pretty much
official timeout while Nick Barilli repairs his helmet. While we have that moment, let's hear from one of our sponsors. 4th down and 15. Eagles are going to go for it from the Wildcat 45-yard line. Receivers are split. Backs are in an eye. Kearney back to throw. Rolling out to his right. Wants to set up the screen, and now there's nobody open, and he just has to dump it off. And incomplete at the Wildcat 35-yard line. They were trying to set up the screen to Barilli. No chance to complete the pass. So the Wildcats take over on downs. And here comes junior quarterback Mike Kelly. 3 of 10 through the air this year for 56 yards. And it will stay in the game at fullback. Pat Boyagi will split about 5 to the right. And Chris Anuscu will split about 15 to the left. Kelly turns and gives the ball to Perez, and he got nowhere. Stacked up at the line of scrimmage by that St. Ed's defense led by Rick Wadecki. They were going to rotate him with Dave Ragone at the start of the season, but since Dave has done so well, Mike has become the just backup, and that's it. Here's a pitch to Perez, makes a move at the 45 and gets up near the 48-yard line. He'll get about 3 yards. See if they can put a score or 2 on the board. 3rd down, call it 8. Give Paris 2 on the last carry from the 47.5-yard line of St. Ignatius. Kelly going to go to the air. Looking downfield. throws for Boyaji, incomplete at the Eagle 40-yard line. Pass a bit too tall for him. Bill Andrews was uncovered. Pause 5 seconds for station identification, but we'll get this one in. Milligan awaiting the snap back at his own 35. And the Eagles, let's see, they've got 10 men bunched at the line, 8 right at the line, 2 right behind them, and your only safety is Doug Gaynor standing back at the 26. And Milligan gets the punt off. A high spiral. Gaynor's going to go and watch it bounce to the 10, rolling towards the end zone, and it gets there. So it'll be a touchback, and will come out to the 20-yard line where the Eagles will take over on offense. And let's hear from one of our sponsors on 1260 AM as well.
This broadcast of St. Ignatius
The third quarter, and that's been it in the second half. 34-6 Wildcats. 1st and 10 Eagles. Carney turns, and he'll give the ball to his tailback, and that looks like Alfonso Hodge, and he'll get up to near the 24-yard line. And that was indeed Hodge. Pick up a 4.
Strawn at defensive end. Nick Soeder at defensive tackle. Phil Smith at defensive tackle. And also it's Andy Zurich out at defensive end.
Backs again in the eye, and they give it to Hodge, and he'll get up across the 25 to the 26 where he stopped after a 2-yard gain. A touchdown. So 3rd down and about 4 for the Eagles. Backs in an eye, 2 receivers to the left. Rear Kraut will turn and give the ball to his fullback, who punches his way up across the 30 and gets the first down at the 32-yard line. That's Ignatius Covarrubias. What a fun name that is to say.
Say that 10 times real fast.
No way. The sidelines will also give you a scoring summary and a highlight look back at tonight's game, as well as individual stats and some commentary on this ball game. Rear Kraut going to throw on 1st and 10. Rolling to his left, lets it fly downfield, and it's incomplete at the 42-yard line. Intended for Dan Klingsham.
Chris Meyer and Mike Genovese also in at defensive back for St. Ignatius.
And Covarrubias and Hodge in an eye behind Rear Kraut. Here's the hand up to Hodge, and he breaks it to the outside, gets across the 35 to the 40, and then knocked out of bounds at the 41-yard line by Eric Hackerman of the Wildcats. Pretty nice gain of about 9 yards for Hodge.
Also a junior. They're shuffling people in and out. We'll try to get them to you as soon as we can.
Pat Weiss into the game at wideout for the Eagles, split about 15 to the left as Rear Kraut turns, and he'll give the ball to his big fullback, Ignatius Covarrubias, and he gets to about the 44-yard line, a pickup of 2 yards, but that's all he needed. He only needed 1 for a first down, and he got to go in the 4th quarter. Wildcats up 34-6. Backs are tonight, 2 receivers to the left. Rear Kraut going to go to the air. Looking downfield, throwing, receiver incomplete at the 50-yard line, Myron Waller. And the ball bounced right off his number 1 at the 50-yard line.
Take it a little longer, show a little bit more poise, and then maybe deliver the ball a little better to his receivers.
Yeah, a little happy feet for Dave. He's only a junior. Probably will be the starter next year. Here's a pitch to Hodge. He'll get across the 45, keeps the legs going, and gets up to the 48-yard line. About a 5-yard gain as Paul Klima rings him up, as well as Adam Zivich for the Wildcats. But expired. Wildcats up 34-6. But the Eagles like to get one more score here if they could. Rear Kraut will turn and give to his fullback. This time it's Jim Patton, a 5'9", 165-pound junior, and Patton will get maybe a yard. About a half yard on the carry. 4th down and a long 4 for the Eagles. Backs in an eye, 2 receivers to the right. And Rear Kraut on 4th down will just turn and give the ball to Hodge, and he's hit at the 50. He got a yard, but that's it. So the Wildcats will take over on downs at midfield with 50 seconds to go in the game. Couldn't get the number of the last tackler. I think it was Jim Cummings or Kurt.
They've thrown the second and third teamers in there, and the offense of the opposition has gained some yardage on them. It's nice. First team defenses out there, they were amongst the first group of people to give high fives to that second team defense for a great job.
And Grant Kreisenbeck is now into the game for the Wildcats at quarterback. Grant's a junior, 1 of 1 this year for 5 yards through the air. In the computer rankings coming into tonight's game, Ignatius number 1 in Region 1, and the top 4 teams qualify. Extra to staggered eye. Here's the pitch to Stoll. He'll get across the 50, 45, 40, and down to the St. Edward 38-yard line. Liam Stoll with a 12-yard gain. His biggest rush of the season, and a first down for the Wildcats.
Go ahead, 12 yards, first down for St. Ignatius.
Clock moving, 34 seconds to go. This could be the last play. Kreisenbeck with Baxton and I behind him. That's Murphy and Perez. Here's a handoff to Perez, and he'll get, or actually Phil Ardeer, I should say. I got those two confused last week, too. They're built just about the same, and he'll get down to the 36, maybe the 35. A 3-yard gain for Phil, Paul's younger brother. And the Wildcats are going to try and get one more playoff with their second team here. Clock moving 5 seconds. Second down and 7. Kreisenbeck will turn and get the stolen. Flags come in with 1 second, and now the clock ticks down.